Hey, Brandon here with Bees Barbecue, and boy, do I have another great video for you guys today. A favorite of mine, pulled beef. So savory, so beefy, so juicy, and at the end of this video, you will never look at a chuck roast the same way. You might look at it a little lovingly in the aisle of the store you're at, and remember the fond memories of eating this tasty dish, all right? So because it's amazing, and you guys are gonna love it, get your buns ready, get your barbecue sauce ready, because boom, in between, about to be some pulled beef. Let's go to the kitchen and get this started.
Socks and Crocs.
Told you this was gonna be boring. All right, now with chuck roast, there's not much in the way of trimming or anything. It's already, it is what it is from the factory. If you really want to be picky, you could get some of the outside fat off, but it's just gonna render down anyways. And since we're pulling this, it doesn't really matter. You can get the excess fat out when you pull it if you so desire. I usually so desire. Now, this is just a homemade beef rub. Simple. We're just gonna slap some rub on. This is 1 part kosher salt, 1 part black pepper, about a cup each. And then a whole bunch of other crap. I got some paprika, some chili powder, some, of course, onion powder, garlic powder, your standards, as well as a little bit of cayenne, just a very little bit. You don't want it to be hot. Some lemon pepper, some other stuff. It's basically my pork rub, but with black pepper instead of sugar. That's all there is to it. Put your favorite rub on. You could just do salt, pepper. Equal parts salt, pepper, garlic powder. That's a very common, popular rub. Just rub your meat. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Apply a generous amount, copious amounts. You could use a binder. Normally, I would use a binder, but for some reason, I'm out of Worcestershire sauce. This thing will end up sweating a little before I throw it on, and it'll throw another coat of rub on, and that'll be plenty. All right, as per everything in the smoking world, set your smoker to about 250, give or take 25 Fahrenheit. This chuck roast it's a pretty forgiving cut of meat. It's very fatty for beef. So prep your stuff at about 250. I like 250. That's where my smoker likes to sit. So that's where I've come to like. We're going to be using hickory wood today for this smoke. It's great flavor for beef. It's good for pork as well. I'm out of apple, so I got a little cherry I'm going to throw on there as well, just to spice things up. See you guys at the smoker. All right, we're back outside at the old Lone Star Grillz. Of course, that gorgeous 20 by 42 inch offset smoker made right there in Willis, Texas. Not way up here in cold Michigan. Let's get that chuck on, shall we? So we're gonna take this hunk of burning meat. Ooh, look at the color that pork butt's got. Woo! Boy, it could be good. We're gonna take this beauty, set it right here next to the pork butt. Boom. Look at that. All right, now that chuck roast is on, we're gonna go, right? Nah, of course we got stuff to do to it. The cook should take about 6 hours at this point, give or take at 250. When the internal temperature comes up to 160 on that puppy, we're gonna go ahead and throw it in a foil pan, a little bit of foil over it, and pour some beef broth or beef base or whatever you got. Make your own if you need to. And we're gonna pour it in there, just a little bit. We don't wanna boil the thing. We just want just a light, we want moisture in there so that it gets nice to that tender, super juicy, fall aparty pulled beef that we all know that we can't wait to get up in his belly. All right, so after we get it in the pan, of course, we're looking for a temperature up around 200 Fahrenheit minimum. I don't like to, if it's gonna be pulled, it's gotta be a little over 200, probably over 205. But we're not gonna be probing for temperature at that point. Temperature is going to be great, but what we really want is the tenderness. If that thing slides right in there, if I pick some of it up with some tongs, right, and it doesn't even lift under its own weight, that's when you know it's done. You don't necessarily go by temperature on this sort of stuff. Temperature is a guideline. with pulled beef, you know it's going to be ready to pull when you pick it up and it starts falling apart. That's when she's done. So, next thing is 160, getting this thing in that nice little bath-o broth, right? See you guys then. All right, so we're back out at the pit, obviously. The chuck roast is ready to be wrapped. I took and I prepped this beef base bouillon thingy babobber. All right, technical terms only here. So as you can see here, we're ready to go. We got our foil pan, got my aluminum foil, our beef broth, and one hot smoker. No? Oh yeah, well, I did mean that anyways, but easily and gently take this roast off. Push that back in. Pour it over the top nice and gently. Just a little bit. I've got a cup prepared. You don't even need that much. Kind of just want to moisten up all the parts that have been hitting with the smoke and drying out. Don't worry about rinsing your rub off or anything like that. Your rub should be plenty set by the time you're doing this. Alright, so I didn't even use all of that cup. Put that down there for now. Bouillon! There's a bouillon joke. Then you're just going to cover it up somewhat loosely. Alright, so we put it back on the top because we need some more heat on it. I want it to just bam, power through, right? Alright, so there we go. It's done, wrapped. It's on. It's going to be ready to go. And the next thing is going to be the checkup. So when we come back, we'll be checking at it. We'll be poking it and prodding it, right? It will basically just be feeling for tenderness, see if it falls apart under its own weight. And if it does before 200, I'm not worried. Then it's done, right? We don't need to go any longer. If it hits like 203 and it's still not falling apart under its weight, then we'll just make it go longer. We're not going to temp here. Temperature is a guideline on this particular cook. Next thing's next is the checkup. See you guys then. All right, so this temped up to about 208. We're gonna transfer pans here so we can pull it apart. We're gonna save that juice and use it later. It's got quite a good bark. Nice smoke ring on it, if it'll focus. Focus. All right, so we got it out, peeled it up, and this is what we're left with. And then we're gonna take this, actually, and cover it back up with some foil. Take that homemade au jus, basically, pour it into a fat separator. Gonna let that fat separate for a second in here. Basically all this does, you can kind of see it working. It just draws off the bottom. Liquid falls out the bottom, separates the fat off. All right, so while that's separating, let's have a check. Basically, what we did, took our chuck out, seasoned it up, fired up the smoker to about 250, and just let it ride until the chuck hit 160 internal. Took it off, put it in our aluminum pan, and then we had a beef base, poured it over it. We bouilloned it, basically. We got that going, put it back on the smoker, top rack, so it got a little bit more heat. And it was done in a little under 6 hours, about 5.5 hours. Took it inside, pulled it, separated the big fatty chunks that didn't break down, and then we were left with this nice, tender beef. And now that this is done separating, basically gonna take it, put its own drippings back on it. It sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Just make sure, toss it a little, make sure everything gets some juices. And what we're actually gonna do is take it and put it back on the smoker now for a little while. Cover it up and just let it braise now, break down just a little bit more, and then it'll be ready to pull. Only about 20 minutes or so. And then we're gonna give it another toss again afterwards. And boom, she'll be ready to go. That's it. After that, eat it however you want. Sauce it if you'd like. You could do the same method, but instead of using its own juices, you could just sauce it. If I could figure it out, you could figure it out. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I'm Brandon from Bees Barbecue, and I hope you've learned a lot from this video. The pulled beef was amazing, as always. So, I only have one thing to say. If you guys liked the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice for me. Make sure you, really tell me how you feel. Leave a comment, whether you liked it either or, and possibly subscribe. I would be appreciative. Thank you so much. Keep that smoke clear and your lid closed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. It may be wintertime. Still got socks and Crocs.